Welcome to Communication with Callie. Today's topic is domestic violence. Domestic violence encompasses a wide variety of relationships that have abusive behaviors present in them. So, domestic violence is defined as the willful intimidation, physical assault, battery, sexual assault, and or use of other abusive behaviors as part of a systematic pattern of power and control perpetrated by one intimate partner against another. So intimate partner meaning there is a close relationship, a continual relationship with the person who is potentially abusing the other. Now, domestic violence is an overarching term that addresses a variety of relationships. So, siblings, parent child, child parent, we can throw grandparents in there, we can throw friends in there, bosses. It's an overarching term. Now, slight nuances exist when talking about domestic violence and intimate partner violence or dating violence. Typically, but not always, intimate partner violence in research is reserved for romantic partners. And dating violence is obviously for people who are dating. And a lot of that research is based in adolescence and teenage years. So, just a little bit of background on the term domestic violence. Again, it is the overarching term that people use. Intimate partner violence is often referred to as IPV, nice little abbreviation there. That is what I have the most experience with regarding research. But we keep it broad, we keep it general conversation. So I'm going to talk about 4 different types of abuse that are commonly seen across relationship type. So typically what we first think about is physical abuse. So hitting, shoving, slapping, biting, these are all things that we think about. This is not the first form of abuse that is typically present in a relationship. Typically, the first form of abuse that emerges is emotional abuse. And this is an attempt to undermine an individual's self-worth or self-esteem. So that includes, but isn't limited to, psychological forms of abuse, such as fear, intimidation, threats of violence, and importantly, contemptuous behaviors, meaning they show little regard for you and think less of you. So saying things like, you're a failure, no one will ever love you, you're lucky I put up with you. Those are all forms of emotional abuse. Typically, that predates physical violence. Not always, but typically. And that the same can be said about sexual abuse. So sexual abuse is coercing or attempting to coerce someone into sexual contact without consent, without their desire, without their want to do so. So again, this can be seen in a variety of relationships. It can, unfortunately, family members, romantic partners, only until not that long ago, legally, a husband couldn't rape his wife, as in, if he did rape her, legally, it was his right to. That's super messed up. Thankfully, that has changed. So consent is super important here. So someone can either force themselves upon you or coerce you, meaning you've indicated no, whether that's verbally or non-verbally, and they continue to ask and pressure you and ask if you want to have sex, or you want to have sex. I know you want to have sex. Let's have sex. And they just keep going and going and going. And finally, you're like, okay, yeah, let's just do that. That way, they're going to stop bothering you. If you don't comply with their sexual demands, they might do something worse to you. So important to keep that in mind. Another form of abuse is financial abuse. And we don't always think about this, but it's a pretty big factor. And that's basically using financial tools and money to maintain control of someone. So if you are the only one who has access to the bank account, you've got the power, you've got the control. If you want to leave an abusive relationship and your partner has everything in their name, What are you going to do? Where are you going to go? Where are you going to live? What resources do you have? You have nothing. You are on the street. So again, these types of abuse present in a variety of relationships. So keep that in mind. It's not strictly for romantic partners. Importantly, 1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men will experience domestic violence in their lifetime, meaning from the time they are a wee lad and continuing into adulthood, they will have experienced domestic violence in one capacity or another. So that is just a brief overview of what constitutes as domestic violence. The next video, the next communication with Callie, is going to talk a little bit more about some side effects and why people tend to stay in those types of relationships. So watch out for the next video, and I will see you cool cats next time.